When 3 storms hit the Twin Cities over a single weekend in June of 2013, they caused damage on a level never before seen in Minnesota. Widespread power outages affected over 600,000 people, more than half of Xcel Energy's customers in the whole state. For the company, it would be a test of years of planning, drilling, and preparation by Xcel Energy teams.
In this event, the saturated ground and winds caused damage beyond our normal trimming zones as trees were being uprooted and falling into many of our lines and customers' individual services at their homes.
Across the entire Xcel system, we spend about $50 million a year clearing our lines, in particular for trees. Had we not spent those dollars, there's no question that the magnitude of the storm would have been bigger and the duration would have been longer.
When the storm began shaping up early in the week, teams at Xcel Energy swung into action.
You know, the success in a storm like this is determined before the storm actually hits.
Line crews, all well-trained for major outages with regular drills and practice, were put on alert. Operations leaders called their partners at neighboring utilities, all part of a Midwestern mutual aid network, to see how many extra crews were available to help out. Contractors got the call too.
You know, the amazing thing about this storm, we had about 1,800 people working in the field. Only 300 of those were Xcel Energy employees. So what we needed to do is figure out a way to coordinate the work of 1,500 people coming in from other areas. Our goal is once they show up at our service center, that we have work for them ready to go right away.
They'd also need materials. The company's stockpiles were readied, and calls went out to Xcel Energy suppliers to stand by with extra power poles, transformers, and power lines. The first storm hit at 3 a.m. on Friday, June 21st. Nearly 2 inches of rain fell in just 3 hours, with 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds, lightning, and hail. Xcel Energy linemen from Minnesota and nearby states got out, and they got to work. By evening, they had whittled the number of customers without power from 200,000 to 40,000. That's when the second round hit. This time the winds were ferocious, 70 miles an hour, strong enough to yank huge trees up by the roots from an already saturated ground. 300 tree trimmers were dispatched to clear the fallen power lines down by massive trees and thousands of branches. Live wires down were cleared first to protect the public. Saturday was hot and humid, but crews worked non-stop and made good progress getting the lights back on. New crews and more contractors arrived from neighboring states to help. The third round hit Sunday, with 28 mile-an-hour winds toppling still more trees and power lines, taking out another 108,000 customers. By now, there were more than 1,100 linemen from 15 states on the ground working 16-hour days. Xcel Energy dispatchers adjusted to handle the new outages, reprioritizing calls to get the most customers restored in the shortest amount of time.
If you can go out to a job and you can restore 1,000 customers, you're going to work that job before you work a job that only restores 1 customer. Our electric system's built somewhat like a tree.
Feeder lines, the trunk, were fixed first because they affected thousands of customers, followed by tap lines, the big branches, serving as many as several hundred customers. Transformers, like the small limbs, affect a single neighborhood, and last are the calls for a single customer, the leaves. Considering the scope of the damage, the system worked incredibly well.
You know, we actually restored 550,000 customers within 3 days. I've been working here for over 30 years, and if you would have ever told me that we could store that many customers that quick, I would have never believed you.
New technology that allows the company to communicate with home meters helped speed the final days of the restoration when crews were working on single customer outages.
We're able to communicate with those meters to confirm whether or not those individual customers' power has been restored.
We know that the pinging saved us at least $1 million, and at least 1 day of the storm was shortened because of this technology.
By the time it was over, crews had handled 8,000 some jobs, replacing 460 poles, over 1,700 transformers, and 300,000 feet of power lines, all at a cost of half to 1/3 of what other utilities spend on big storms. Meanwhile, the Xcel Energy operations team activated its own emergency plan. With 3 storms in as many days and widespread outages, things were changing fast. The goal was to get accurate information out as quickly as possible, both internally and with the public. Internally, the mission mode system was activated to provide hundreds of key personnel across all departments with comprehensive phone updates several times a day. The operations, communications, and contact center teams stayed in close contact to make sure their messaging was accurate and consistent as the storms unfolded. Over the course of the event, media relations would do over 100 interviews for TV, radio, and print.
Over the course of 6 days, we spoke to and reached out to more than 1 million people, which is something we've never done before in that amount of time. We had traditional channels. Our phone outreach is typically our #1 and continue to be.
At the Customer Care Center, staff members worked around the clock, answering more than 500,000 calls from customers.
Your power is out, you feel very vulnerable. So we wanted to do our best to give them as much information as possible. It is so critical that you provide customers with accurate information as succinctly as possible, and also in the way that they choose to be communicated with.
Customers were able to access an outage map on the Xcel Energy website from their mobile devices and computers. Customers who posted comments or questions on Facebook got answers immediately. Someone was on duty 24/7 to respond. 2 emails went out to 440,000 customers. Twitter was active too. Even the mayor of Minneapolis was using it to talk about the storm recovery efforts.
The way that they reached out to us to thank us for the job that we were doing was pretty inspiring. I mean, it was amazing to see that kind of feedback.
The communication effort continued even after the lights went back on. Xcel Energy thanked customers for their patience and cooperation, and community and mutual aid partners for their help in the June storms of 2013.
I believe that success builds on success. We sit down after every major event to assess how we can do it better and more effectively. How else could we have helped our customers? We benchmark our peers and challenge our teams to improve the speed and efficiency of our crisis response. We work hard today to prepare ourselves for tomorrow's events. We need to keep investing in our people, our infrastructure and technology, and our partners. So when the next storm descends on Minnesota, Xcel Energy is ready. Thank you.